The following podcast features half-biased and controversial sports takes. All predictions are simply predictions, and we truly don't know what will happen. We will try our best to keep you entertained, but no guarantees. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to our show. Much love, Ripper Brands.
How we doing? Episode 71 of the River Podcast. Ethan Rosenstiel, Elson Gratz, he's back. A week removed, right? Technically, 1 week off, I believe.
Yep.
So welcome back to the pod. Happy to see your face again. How we doing? How'd you enjoy your spring break last week?
Spring break was nice. Obviously, y'all just need some time off from school. But man, somehow I feel less rested. It didn't help that, so I'm flying as cheap as possible, getting the early tickets. In fact, I didn't even go to bed the night that I flew back because I knew I was going to have to get up at 2:30 to get ready, drive an hour to the airport. I get to the airport at 4 a.m. for my 5 a.m. flight, and I realized that at midnight the night before, they moved it back 2 hours.
Wow.
So that wasn't the most fun deal, but we're back, better than ever. Excited to be on the show.
Yeah, excited for this one. Alex Hernandez will join us in just a minute. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind for me as well. Spring break was good. Nice to have a little bit of a break from school, like you mentioned. For whatever reason, come back from the break, and I got 3 exams this week. And it's like, man, can we just push spring break a week later and get these exams done before? Just didn't work out the way would be nice. But we're back. We're getting settled back in. Hopefully, the rest of the school year flies by. The weather starts to turn. I know you mentioned it's probably 80-some degrees down in Tulsa right now?
85. I am burning up in here. Got the window right behind me, so it's funneling it in.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take some 85-degree heat right now, to be honest. But yeah, we'll talk with Alex in a little bit. Daily draft coming up. We'll be talking some spring break destinations, so that'll be fun. Kind of that time of the year. A little early in the baseball and softball seasons for some rankings, so we'll get those out sooner rather than later. For the first edition of baseball and softball here in the spring season. But there are some games that we get to pick. Tuesday is a big day. We got our first baseball game to pick and 2 softball games to pick. So we're very, very excited to be able to do something like that. Always fun to be able to get into a new sport. And then some golf. Valspar Championship over the weekend. We got the CJ Cup at Byron Nelson going on. MLB opening day is tomorrow. So we got the Brew Crew back in action. The games count. And then the Mac Daddy of them all. Mock Draft 2.0 today. Super excited. I think yesterday marked exactly 1 month until the opening round of the draft, if I'm not mistaken. So fired up, ready for that to come. This is going to be a great month. But the guy we're going to talk to right now, Elson, you could say he might have a couple people he might be looking at on his draft boards. Maybe he could give us a little bit of insight on who the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, as pains me to say, but who they might be taking. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the screen live from Alabama, Alex Hernandez. How are we doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Good. Live from Alabama, middle of your vacation. So we appreciate you taking time from your vacation, from your beautiful weather. I'm sure you're looking out at a gorgeous view right now to be able to join us. Congratulate. We'll start with the Eagles. Painful, but congratulations. You're a Super Bowl champion. I know it got to feel good. I guess
the NFL is service, knocking off Kansas City.
Yeah, you could look at it like that, I guess.
Well, here's the deal. As a fellow Philadelphia Eagles fan, I first of all, I want to thank you, knowing that you're a Cowboys fan, for building up the will to congratulate us on our win. And I say us as in we and me included. I think we did. The Philadelphia Eagles did not win the Super Bowl. America won the Super Bowl, I fear, and we really did take it to Kansas City when not many people were willing to give us a chance.
Hey, kudos to you for that. It was one of the more boring Super Bowls that I've ever watched in my lifetime, so not super appreciative. I'm probably one of the few people in America that might have wanted the Chiefs to win over the Eagles. Actually, no, because the Cowboys have one of the largest fan bases in the world, and a lot of Cowboy fans probably didn't want to see the Eagles win. So potentially, maybe I'm one of many. But congratulations on you or to you for that. Anticipating potentially that not happening again next year. I don't believe. Doesn't seem like that roster is looking good. Is that fair to say?
They just still have all
Well,
the good.
that is fair to say. However, I do want to point out the fact that minutes before I joined the stream, I saw some NFL rumors going around that the Cowboys are looking to trade away Dak Prescott to the Browns. So we might need to hold off a bit on the roster comments before that goes down.
Okay, all right. I did see on a fan page, Dallas Cowboy fan page, some reporter did call that fake news, and I don't believe it. It's not true until it happens. I'll believe it when I see it. I won't take it from an Eagles fan. I haven't heard it. Actually, outside of that report, you're the first person to bring that to my knowledge. So I won't take it from an Eagles fan. You're just stirring the pot, and I don't appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. We'll let the football do the talking next.
Okay, all right. How about we talk about something probably people actually would care about, and that's you and your journey. At this point, I think you have a really, really interesting story. So I'm excited to be able to talk to you about that. Let's talk about your journey. You went to winning state championship your senior year in high school, and then is that Austin Fox behind you?
This is Austin Fox. Yeah, he's
get him on the camera
as we speak.
What up, big dog?
What's up?
How are you? How are you enjoying your spring break?
I'm so burnt right now, but we're living the dream over here.
I understand it. Wednesday, what time do you guys come back? How long have you been there?
We come back like early morning Saturday. We got here like middle of the day Saturday.
Perfect.
So,
This reminds me of the on the Pat McAfee show, the Aaron Rodgers Devonta Adams thing. Do you guys remember that? He comes out.
The only difference is we're not that good at athletes ananymore. We're a little past our primes there.
We'll see. I mean, potentially. So you mentioned you're burnt. Is a couple days on the beach so far. What's the view like? Can you flip the camera around? What are we looking at? So you're outside, right?
Flip this camera around.
We're on a computer. So
I didn't know my computer has it.
Oh, well. I don't know if you guys could get a good look at it, but that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking into the Gulf of Mexico or America, I guess, for some audiences. But that's very nice.
Beautiful, man.
We've been very fortunate to have some decent weather while we've been here. Except for yesterday, it was a little stormy at the beginning, but it ended up being a pretty awesome day. So, yeah, we've been having a good time.
All right. Let's get back to it. So, as I was saying, you went from winning state championships at Austin too. Austin's a state champion as well. But you went from that to high school to playing D3 sports, and now you're working as, correct me if I'm wrong, is something with translating, Spain. What's your actual role?
Yeah, so my official title is a translator for an elementary school.
Okay, so that's quite the journey. Talk about that and how that kind of came about, some decisions that went into that.
Yeah, so it's a funny story. It was very complicated. Obviously, going from high school to college is a huge, significant transition that every person has to make at some point. And if not that, then just adulthood in general. I went from having my parents right next to me to being about 3.5 hours away. So that was definitely a big transition for me. But I was very fortunate enough to be included on a football team for St. Omer College. It's not a huge school, but it's respected in their own conference. Honestly, when I first showed up there, I was very excited to get it. With my hands dirty. I was very, very excited to see what college athletics was all about. I'd seen plenty of videos, and I was very excited. But eventually, it got to the point where I had to make some very difficult decisions, and ultimately, I had to choose the best path for me. In that case, it would be my knee. Obviously, stemming from high school, I was experiencing a lot of knee problems, and once I got to college, that ramped up quite a bit just because the workload is completely different than high school. But honestly, it was a decision that was very hard in the moment, but looking back on it now, I'm very grateful. because I still got to experience a year of traditional college where I got to go and meet new people, see a new city, experience a new culture. Honestly, I mean, I know I was still in the same state, but it's completely different going from a little town of 10,000 to a big city of 100,000 in Green Bay. And having Appleton and Oshkosh nearby, it was definitely very fun to experience. But then, I had to medically retire. Not only that, but I also had to think about my finances. I had to kind of look at things from a reality side of things, and it just wasn't realistic for me to be able to stay there and afford to live my life after college. So for a little bit, I was considering moving down to Arizona, Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. And I was actually going to move down there permanently. So I was going to get a job, maybe stay there for a year, establish my residency, and then pick up from there. But I before I get into it, I am going to school to be an education major. So a lot of that, that was a huge deciding factor on what I decided to do. And then right, literally the week I was gonna send in my deposit for my registration, I got a text from my girlfriend Taylor Jacobson letting me know that there was a position open at my old elementary school, and they needed a translator. Pretty much all that I needed was the ability to speak both Spanish and English, and I needed to pass a test that pretty much showed my competence to be able to be in a classroom and know what I'm talking about. So I had to take like a 2-hour test doing basic math, English, science problems, but wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, that pretty much brings us to now. I'm very excited to get to experience this opportunity. I know that a lot of people don't really get this opportunity to be able to work in the field that they're going to go into quite this early. Obviously, with student teaching and that kind of thing, there are definitely experiences out there that allow people to work in their field before they graduate. But I feel like I'm in a very unique position where I get to interact with the kids. I'm given tier 3 groups, meaning like I lead math groups with 5th and 2nd graders. I work with kindergartners on a daily basis. So I get to work with all grades. And not only that, but I also get to see both sides of education, because obviously you got the educational side where you want to make sure that the kids are in a good spot. You want to make sure that they're understanding what's going on in the classroom with what's being spoken around them. But obviously then there's another side of education, which is making sure that the kid's okay, and like you're helping out the families and whichever way you can. And ultimately it's a very big role that I get to play, and I'm very humbled, and I'm very fortunate to be in that situation.
Kudos to you for all of that. I think that's a really, really good explanation. Something that even me considering you as a friend, I didn't know the full extent of that. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's go back to college football and your days playing that. I think in high school, that's a goal of many, many people to try to get to the point where they're able to play, whether it's a D1, D2, D3, JUCO, because they love the game. What was intriguing to you about going to the next level and playing football?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, honestly, is the fact that I only got to experience football for very little before I graduated. I didn't do youth football. I didn't do Pee Wee football or Blaze football, none of that. My first year of football was my freshman year. And even then, I mean, only the guy to my right knows, I was considering quitting for a little bit. I wasn't really attached to the sport yet. I was in contact with the varsity coach at the time for soccer, and he had made an intriguing offer to switch sports, and I was going to do that for a second, but then I got called up for the playoffs, and I got to see what high school football can really be about, which is building a brotherhood and being able to experience something. I don't know. Sorry, it's a very, very heavy subject for me, just because
You're good. No
going
worries.
out of high school, I was very I was very excited to continue that path that I had started. You know, I had gotten many looks from different colleges, but ultimately I sided with SNC, St. Norbert College, as I mentioned before. You know, I got to meet new people. I got to experience a lot, and you know, I don't want to go too into depth about this whole situation, but my story was cut short, and you know, for someone that really had worked hard to get to the point where I was, it was very heartbreaking. But now I'm very fortunate because I'm now that I'm home, I get to help out with my old team. I'm currently a JV coach for the high school. I get to interact with those guys very consistently, and it's you know it's my college story inspired me to try to help those other guys out, the guys that want to continue their story after high school. You know, it's sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here, but that to the extent of me, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I got to try out a new position in a new offense with new coaches, new brothers right next to my side. Some of which I still talk to today, even if I don't attend their school. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I got to experience it because not many people do.
I think with that on that note, I think something that's very evident in your story is the fact that like the ending of something is just the start of another thing. And for you, you're able to continue that football journey by getting into coaching. And I imagine that role and your involvement will hopefully, for your sake, probably continue to expand because of your love for the game. And now you're able to do something back home in the schools. And again, something that hopefully will be able to continue to evolve and expand uh, within your or throughout your entire career. So I think it's evident and it shows how when something ends and it seems like it's a super negative thing and it's very difficult in the time being, it's just opening a door to another opportunity. And I think you're fulfilling that and kudos to you for that. Um, I think you mentioned coaching, and I'll go there. We can circle back, Ellison, on that topic. But you mentioned coaching, and you're a JV coach this year. Is that do you plan on continuing that going forward, or is this something that was like a one and done, or is your role going to potentially expand?
No, you know, it's funny you bring that up. 'Cause, I uh, coaching for me is something that is very cool. Um, Football is a very special sport. You know, I tend to compare it a lot to my other favorite sport, which is football or soccer. Um, it's a very technical sport. It's a sport that you can go every single day of your life for the rest of your life, and you're learning something new every single day, and that's something that I find very interesting. Not to mention you get to be a part of a lot of stories, and it's something that draws me. I am planning on coaching as long as I can. You know, I love Monroe, I love Wisconsin, but eventually I want to try something different. I want to go somewhere else, and I want to take as much football knowledge as possible with me, so that eventually my goal is to become um, an offensive coordinator or a head coach type role. And it's also funny that you bring up like every closing door is just another door opening. You know, it's something that I have learned the hard way in some cases. But another thing that I wanted to touch on was the fact that I got to give a lot of credit to my high school coach, Toby Golombeski. You know, he was a very influential person in my life. Outside of my immediate family and my friends, he was the one that really did help guide my mindset going out of high school. Um, he his mantra, "Win the day." It's something that I really do try to live by. You know, there I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the life that I'm living right now is perfect, because it's not. There are some things that I feel like I'm missing out on, or some things that I wish I would have done instead. But every single day I say, okay, well, this happened. Nothing I can do to change it. What can I do to improve myself 1% every single day? That's something that I really do try to live by, and it's something that I gotta give props to him and his coaching staff, honestly, because they hold that same mentality, and it's a very special thing to watch that mentality take place on the other side of football when you're not a player and you're a coach and you're interacting with those guys every day for 4 months. From the beginning of fall camp, summer camp, to the end of the season in the playoffs, hopefully, or at the end of the regular season, which is what most teams experience every year.
No doubt. So I got a quick question. So you talk about the Coach G and the influence that you had on him. I think he has that on a lot of his players, and you particularly, and some of your classmates and other football players that you graduated with started the Coach G Memorial Fund. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to talk about what you're doing now. And you mentioned coaching and obviously working as a translator within the Monroe School District. What do you love about what you're doing now?
Very, very deep question. I appreciate being a part of a story. That's what I appreciate the most. Speaking very candidly to you, there are a lot of people out there that don't have that role in their life. I'm in a very, in terms of my career and where I want to go, I'm in a very unique spot, just because the educational field is especially at the younger age groups, they are very they have a severe lack of male presence in the schools. I know, going through Parkside, my old elementary school, I only had one guy teacher, and it just so happened that I had him at a very important time of my life, one that really did shape who I would eventually end up being. And that's something that I find very interesting. It's something that I find very appealing toward the educational realm, just because teachers have a lot more of an impact than some of them realize. And it's something that I want to do. And I want to make sure that if there's a kid out there that doesn't have that male figure in their life that maybe needs to point them in the right direction, they would have me. Or if there's a kid out there that wants to put time in to the sport that they love, I'll be right there. I'll help them out however best I can. I've had some guys in the off season that were freshmen or sophomores. They've reached out and asked me what they could do to get better, and I've given them some of the things that I've done in the past. I've tried to share my knowledge with them and things that I know, and I'm also completely honest with them when there's things that they ask me and I don't know, because if I'm being honest, I'm still learning the sport as much as they are. I'm my freshman year of high school, I wouldn't be able to tell you what the positions in football were or what a running back was. Wouldn't be able to tell you what wing T offense is or 4-3 defense. I wouldn't be able to tell you any of those things. So as the years have gone on, I've learned a lot more, and I'm looking to share that knowledge with a lot of other people.
So you've talked about being part of a story. Where do you see your story and education going from here?
Where do I see my story? That's a good question. A couple weeks ago, I got asked the same thing by my principal. She's a very, very nice person, very lovable person, and she had us fill out a survey that said, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And so I do. I'm very, very happy that I've had time to think about it. Then, in 5 years, I see myself pretty much settled down, like having a family. I see myself having my job that I know I can get, that I know I'm gonna get. I see myself being a coach, being a mentor. I see myself doing a lot of things that I'm hoping can change whatever community I'm a part of. That's where I see myself.
And then I've got one more question on the education front. So throughout your journey, have you really had one moment where it's like, this is why being an educator is so fulfilling?
Yes, yes, I have. Um, my my journey in education stems a little longer than just these last 2 years of college and my job. I've been very fortunate enough to be involved in classrooms from starting my junior year. I would go over to Parkside, my old elementary school, and I would be a teacher's aide to my fourth grade teacher, who I had mentioned before. He was the one guy that I had in my elementary school, and he when I would go to that classroom, I would often work with one child that um, had a learning disability. It was very hard for him to understand math and numbers, and I would sit down with him and we'd work through things. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you word for word what we did or how we did it, but I know that a couple months ago I ran into him. He's now a middle schooler, um, and he was very excited to see me, and he came up to me and he gave me a hug, and he said one of the things that he said to me was how um, we had figured something out, and now math is a lot easier for him. And I think, remembering my experience going into middle school and how hard that can be for some kids, it was very, very honoring and very humbling to be able to hear a kid say that he was impacted by some of the things that I did. That was definitely something that put into perspective how important education is as a whole, and how much of a good idea I feel like it was for me to go into that kind of field, because of how, as selfishly as it is to say, how rewarding it is for myself to see, well, I'm doing all this work and I can see it taking course right away, you know?
No doubt. I don't know about you, Austin. I'm feeling very inspired right now. This is a very inspiring conversation.
It
Uh,
really is.
I know it. I'm feeling very inspired right now. Um, so let's talk about another thing that's very inspiring is the Coach G Memorial Fund that you and some other classmates. Is Austin still by you? Because I know he's a part of that.
He actually had to take a step in, but yeah,
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Talk about let's start with the inspiration. What was obviously you mentioned how influential Coach G is to you and in your life, and how he was as a coach, as a mentor, as just a figure in your life for you. Talk about what inspired you to be able to go about that and create that.
yeah, absolutely. So, uh, as a lot of people know, Coach G was the high school football coach at Monroe High School for, was it 7 years? I think it was 7 years.
Close, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So he, me personally, I met the guy when I had first joined the football team. When I first met him, I thought this guy was crazy. He was some guy that was spitting out a bunch of stuff that I didn't even understand. The way he would talk to his players would often intimidate me. Um, and it was very, very interesting to meet him at first. But then as time had gone by, obviously you move up the ranks of the football team, and eventually I landed my opportunity to be the starting fullback my junior year. So I got a lot of time with him because I had to learn. I had torn my ACL, so I missed my entire sophomore season. So I had to figure out what football was, how it worked, what the offensive scheme was, what the plays were meant to do, all that kind of good stuff. So I got a lot of one-on-one time with him, and I got to meet him a lot more. And he was a fantastic guy to work with, fantastic guy to learn from, if you will. He was a gym teacher at Orangeville, so he has a teaching background, which is also one of the things that I feel like I connected with him on. But yeah, when unfortunately he lost his battle with cancer, I remember it was like a group of 7 of us got together at his memorial. A lot of them were my classmates, yeah, it was something very surreal because he was a larger than life individual. You know, he had all these sayings and all these phrases and things that he ultimately impacted a lot of people with, and it was very heartbreaking to kind of realize that he was gone and he wasn't. He was all that remained with us was the things that he taught us. Um, so yeah, when we got together that day, we decided that the impact that he had on a lot of people was too important, far too big to kind of leave there. You know, we really didn't want that to happen. We didn't want it to be a situation where people would feel bad for a month and then a month later they'd forget. You know, obviously that wasn't going to happen with Coach G, but you guys understand where I'm going with that. Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
it's something that we really didn't want to happen. So, you know, obviously, Ethan, you would know as an entrepreneur, when you want to get something done, you gotta get the ball rolling. So I reached out to Austin, and we got together and we discussed a lot of things. And ultimately, what we wanted to do was start a scholarship fund in his honor. You know, Coach G, as I said before, he had a significant impact on a lot of people, and we figured that scholarship money, as little as it may be, is a huge impact on a lot of people. You know, you could get $250 that can cover sheets, pots, pans, whatever you need. The $250 is what we're starting out this year for each scholarship. We're giving out 4 scholarships to Monroe High School students, and we're giving out, I want to say, another 4 to the Orangeville class. Um, all of them will be $250 each. That money can go a long way, you know, as
Absolutely.
much, and it can have a huge impact. And eventually, as the scholarship uh, fund goes on, we plan on having that amount of money increase. But for now, we're keeping it at 250. Um, but yeah, no, it was really special to be able to organize something like that. A way that we raised money for that was holding a flag tournament in at the high school. Um, Honestly, I don't know how often this gets said, but Austin and I's goal to get this going was only $1,000. We wanted to raise $1,000 so that we had something going into next year because of how soon we wanted to do it after all the events with Coach G.
Mhm.
But we really did get to see how special of a community Monroe is in the fact that we were able to raise over $25,000 for our scholarship fund. We had enough to um, we could have had enough to endow the scholarship, but we needed to keep some money on the side in case anything came up and we needed to spend some money. So next year we're hoping to make a little bit more than that. If anything, we want to double what we raised, just because we know that a lot of anybody that showed up to the flag football tournament, we could be wrong, but we've heard nothing but great things from those people that attended. So we're hoping that next year we can implement, or I guess this year we can implement some more things that will eventually grow into something that is so big that, you know, it'll never be forgotten, you know.
Anything more you can tell us about year 2 of the flag football tournament?
Yeah, so year 2 for the flag football tournament, we're planning on hosting that on June 21st. It's a Saturday. We're planning for an early start just because we're very excited that Coach Witt, the head football coach at Monroe High School, is allowing his football players to play. So we're happy to have those guys along, and we know that Blaze football, we had a lot of kids show up and make teams and participate in that. So we're planning on having an early start. Raffle items, we're going to have another raffle. And this year we're very fortunate to be able to present all the checks pretty much from the scholarships to the recipients. So we're planning on having a ceremony there. But honestly, it's a day to honor Coach G, have a lot of fun, play a lot of football, and get a tan. Honestly,
Love it. I'll tell you right now, I was there at the first one. It was a phenomenal event. Everyone that tells you that isn't lying. Kudos to you guys for that. I mean, that was obviously to be able to experience the event. I know the hard work that goes into that type of thing. You guys did a very, very good job. I Coach G would be very proud of you guys. I'm sure you guys are very proud of what you've done. So kudos to you. Continue that. Continue being able to continue to grow that, because I know, like you mentioned, Coach G touched a lot of people, not only his football players, but people in the community. He was definitely a figure that a lot of people looked up to. His players, other students, parents, even, like, he was really involved in a lot of people's lives, and he made sure that he put a personal touch on every one of them. And what you guys are doing is phenomenal. And honestly, is on behalf of the Monroe community, we appreciate what you're doing for the community, and it's awesome to see. Very excited. Hopefully, my team can win it again next year. We'll see what we can do. But no guarantees. 1 year removed, a little bit more out of shape. Can't guarantee much.
Yep, there it is. Well, no, thank you for bringing it up. It's something that we're very excited to do. I'm always excited to talk about it. But it also has to go mention that we weren't able to do it alone. We got a lot of support from a lot of the different members in the community. One of the biggest ones being Kim Markham. She was huge in the process of it all. She has a board position at the Community Foundation of Southern Wisconsin. That's where we currently hold our scholarship. It's something that we're very grateful for. But not only that, we're also taking steps to grow the scholarship fund. So we've implemented a new board of directors, including Austin and myself, Kale Olsenegger, Taylor Herbst, Max Golombeski, huge part of that. Our ethical director, being Jody Golombeski, her main job is making sure that we stay on task. We don't get distracted at all by any other things. Our main goal is to make the main thing the main thing, as a very good quarterback once said. You know, it's something that we're very proud of, that we're able to develop all these things. And we have plenty of other people that should never go unmentioned. Too many for me to count. I probably should have prepared for that. But to all those people, I do appreciate the effort that's going into it. And hopefully we're able to get this to a level that's massive.
Absolutely. Before we move on, my mom did share a comment, and we do have a very cool capability of being able to put that on the screen. And I thought you might like to see it. So there you go. I don't know if you can read that. It's small on my screen. It says, "Alex, love being a part of someone's story. Try to be 1% better every day," quoting you. And then it says, "Thanks for sharing your journey. Keep inspiring the next generation." I think she speaks for both Elson and I, and all of the other viewers that are viewing this. And we appreciate the crap out of you taking time out of your vacation to be able to join us. This is something I know we've been talking about, trying to get you on for a couple of weeks. We've had you on before, but we hope to be able to get you on again. Continue kicking butt, my man. Whatever the future holds for you, and excited to take part with you in trying to win. Well, not with you, maybe against you, in trying to win the second annual Coach G Memorial Fund. Is there going to be a class of 23 team going to be partaking in that? I mean, I'm just trying to. We're looking at the huddle film. We're just trying to.
No, I got you. No, I think we're gonna have to take a step back here. You know, a lot of people on that team from last year, we're a little banged up. But no, I'm very glad to share that a lot of us are starting to form a little bit of what our lives are going to look like in the future. You know, I don't want to go too much into detail, just in case anybody doesn't want any information out there. But a lot of us are taking those next steps, and unfortunately, we're not going to have as many guys there. But we're going to be happy to represent the class of 2023. We're hoping that the class of 24 is still there, and eventually. We're hoping these next couple classes come in and still show their support to Coach G and the football program, honestly.
Absolutely. His impact is spanning multiple generations, and class of 23, no doubt, is an iconic group, and kudos to you for continuing to grow that and whatever. But enough of that. Let's talk a little bit about spring break, shall we? How about a little bit of the daily draft here? Spring break, best spring break destinations. Elson, you had Ryan representing you last week. Him and AB in our March Madness special tied for first. I didn't gain any points last week, but closing the gap, some might say. So this could make for a little bit more of an interesting daily draft. We'll see. But best spring break destinations, Alex might have the upper hand in this, being on spring break himself down there in Alabama. We got a fun one today. Here's how it works, Alex. Did we? I feel like it was a long time ago when you were on. How long ago?
I was on a couple years. I think we're going up to a couple years ago now.
I mean, it was a while. I mean, it was early
a while
on.
ago.
I think it was early on. Do you remember? Do we remember the daily draft topic? I don't. I can't remember.
It was something best cities related or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going maybe best vacation cities. The 2 points to the winner, 1 point to second place. Third place gets a whopping 0. Alex, as our guest, we give you the option to choose. If it's a snake draft, 3 rounds. Would you like to choose to go first, second, or third?
You know what? Let me go second.
Okay, you want second. Grazie. Did we empty the coin stash for spring break, or do we got one handy?
Oh no, I came back with like 13 more cents I found on the ground.
Okay, perfect.
Order today.
I'm feeling generous. You make the pick.
We're gonna go tails.
Okay.
And it is tails.
All right.
I have a feeling none of mine are going to be particularly popular, as I'm like a certified person hater. So we're going to the least populated spots. So I'll take number 3.
All right. He's going 3. I'm going 1. I'm going to be honest. I didn't prepare a list this week. I'm kind of going off the back of my hand. This is personally a little salty about this, but last time I was on vacation was 2022, and that was to a place I definitely would recommend going to if someone's looking for a vacation destination. Give me Cabo in Mexico. I think Cabo is a popular place. I had a great time down there. Fantastic experience. I know it's kind of a place that like celebrities will go to sometimes on their vacations. There's a lot of really cool, neat things about Cabo San Lucas. So I'll take that for my first pick. Alex, your turn.
See, I'm gonna have to go with a city that I have been to before. The last time I went was probably back in 2022. I went down with Austin.
Okay.
And it was very fun. We had a lot of fun, lots of good food, lots of people. Give me Tampa Bay or Tampa, Florida.
There you go. Elson, 2 picks for you.
All right, so I'm way underqualified to be making these picks. I've been to the Midwest. I've been to Oklahoma. I've been in Texas to go through Dallas, Fort Worth, and that's about it. However, I have never heard about anybody going to Hawaii on spring break. So we're going to take Big Island, Hawaii with my first pick. And then what I have heard, however, is that nobody goes to California, and everybody who goes to college in California clears out of California to go to Florida. So I'm going to go with San Diego as my second destination.
Okay. A little bit of reverse psychology I feel like might work in your favor here, Elson. Big brain there. Alex, who you're gonna go with number 2? Where, I should say.
For my number 2, I have to go to another place that I've been to. We're going to stay in the great state of Florida. Give me Miami Beach.
Miami Beach. Was Austin there as well?
He was not there. This was a couple of years ago.
Okay. Miami Beach it is. Okay, back to me. I got 2 picks around my draft out. This is a tough one. I honestly have no clue where I want to go with this. I think for a vacation destination, I'm gonna go. I'll take can't say I've ever been, but I would say it's probably on top of my list of places I do want to go, at least where I'd like to go on my next vacation. I'll take Alabama, where you guys are right now. I'll take that. Are you guys in Gulf Shores particularly?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. I'll take Gulf Shores for the sake of that. And then with my last pick, I will probably You know what? I'm feeling confident. I'm up 4 points. I'm not going to give up my lead. This is a place I actually went over my spring break. A place very underrated in the state of Wisconsin. Give me the good old water park capital of the world, the Wisconsin Dells.
Indoor water park season.
Believe it or not, place is popping. There's a lot of people up there. I mean, not like a good old like day in July. You know what I mean? Not like a July weekend, but place was popping, no doubt about it. For Wisconsin Dells spring break, it's a popular place. I didn't realize nationwide how popular a place like that is. So, Alex, their last pick.
For my last pick, I got to go with a place that I'm also very familiar with. I have been there a couple times. Give me Punta Cana.
Oh, that's a good one. I've been there. Yeah, it's been a while, but Punta Cana is a great pick. Alex might win this list. I mean, he's loading up. That's a great pick for your third. I'm a little disappointed. I didn't think about that one in the head. Mr. Irrelevant pick. Maybe this fits with choosing the idea of not going anywhere where people are, Elson.
So we're going to round out the draft with Nantahala, North Carolina, serene town of about 1,700 people and one of the best trout fishing destinations in America. That's what I'm fully serious about. Like, we're totally going there for spring break at some point in college.
Okay, so can you spell that for me?
I would love to. Nanthala.
Whoa. I don't know if you just went up on like 2 times speed, but I need you about like 0.5. Try again.
Nanthahala.
Okay. Okay.
And do you need me to spell North Carolina or no?
No, I got it. I can handle that one.
All right.
Appreciate it. That's we'll see. Maybe Elson wins the draft with that type of pick. All right. So I went Cabo, Gulf Shores, and Wisconsin Dells. Elson went with Hawaii, San Diego, and Montahala, North Carolina. It rhymes too. That's a good naming. And then Alex went Tampa, Miami Beach, and Punta Cana. So that will be posted on a graphic up on social media, particularly Instagram. You can vote on that and be able to choose our winner. We'll see how that goes. The points will be adjusted accordingly. Alex Hernandez, this is one of the best conversations we've had on the pod. We appreciate you joining.
Thank you very much for having me. I had a great time.
All right. Go Cowboys and enjoy the rest of your spring break down there in Alabama.
Thank you. Go Birds.
Okay. Get him off the screen as fast as possible after
I
those.
would easily take Go Birds over Go Cowboys.
He had he had a very, very good time. The last 46 minutes have been very phenomenal, but he ruined the entire conversation by saying "Go Birds" at the end of his sentence there. I mean, very, very disappointing, I would say. Boy, you mentioned I'm fried, man. I'm inspired. That was a great conversation.
It really was.
All right, I think we need a break though, don't you think? I think it's time to get to one. We need a break. On the other side, we got a little bit of golf, a little bit of baseball, a little bit of football. NFL draft right around the corner. He's Girl Scouts Drafts, episode 72. See you on the other side. What up, y'all? Just wanted to remind you about the best sunflower seeds in the business. Baseball and softball season is right around the corner, and we want to make sure you are well prepared. Scan the QR code on your screen and check out Smackin' Sunflower Seeds. Get yourself some of the best seeds in the business. Do it now so you don't forget. Are you a fan of Grant Horvat or Ben Kruber? If so, you are in luck. Scan the QR code or head over to primalgolfapparel.com and use code RIPPER for 15% off your next order. Make sure you check them out and get yourself some of their high-quality golf apparel now.
The following podcast features half-biased and controversial sports takes. All predictions are simply predictions, and we truly don't know what will happen. We will try our best to keep you entertained, but no guarantees. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to our show. Much love, Ripper Brands.
Welcome back, Ripper Podcast, episode 71, here on a glorious Wednesday afternoon. It is March 26th. Some people on spring break, like we just talked to Alex, he's currently down there in Florida. Elson and I are Alabama.
I missed them?
Alabama. My fault. Thanks for correcting that. Obviously, we want to be as authentic as possible. I looked outside and I was like, man, that really would be nice if I was just looking at Florida right now. That's my excuse. That's what I'm going to say. It would be nice to be in Florida, no doubt. Weather's starting to turn. Elson said it's beautiful. I mean, he is in Oklahoma, but we're trying to get to that warm weather, man. I'm ready to be in t-shirt and shorts and getting out of this pants and sweatshirt weather. I feel like it's been too long.
It would be nice to have that beautiful t-shirt and shorts weather. Absolutely.
You're just a horrible person. You know that? You're just rubbing it in, aren't you? Maybe what's the transfer acceptance rate? Maybe I'll come down to Tulsa with you, Elson, and experience that.
I'll have to check that out. However, I know that I have been getting absolutely bombarded by transfer emails from SMU. I don't know why SMU is so interested. And it's like, it's not just me either. I hear about everybody. It's like, how petty is that SMU is just trying to steal everybody from Tulsa?
Yeah, that's weird. Just not cool of the Mustangs
Not
to
at
be
all.
able to. Yeah, not cool. Yeah, we'll see. You have to report back to me on that. Can't say I will. Sounds like the travel back and forth is a little nightmare. You kind of like got to go backwards to go forward in a way, like to Dallas from Oklahoma.
Like literally, yes, you were exactly right.
It's funny. There you go. All right, let's get to some golf. We had the Valspar Championship over the weekend. Victor Hovland, big breakthrough win. He was a guy who broke onto the scene very quickly. A guy who won the FedEx Cup. I can't remember if it was in his first or his second, maybe his third year. I'm not 100% sure on that. But a guy who broke on very quickly, had a lot of success early in his career, major champion, ended up being a FedEx Cup champion. And he's kind of went dormant. He missing a lot of cuts, especially the 3 weeks leading up to this tournament, and he ends up winning it at the Valspar. Difficult golf course, Copperhead. Justin Thomas had a crazy Sunday, nice little comeback as well, but fell just short. And Victor Hovland finds a way to get the job done. Excited to see him back in the win column. He's got a great personality and is a very inspiring player. So he's one of the guys that's just good for the game of golf. So excited to be able to have him back. I can't say that I remembered to fill out my fantasy golf for last week, but the week before we did finally get a correct winner. We had like an 800-point week. I don't remember if I did or not. Maybe that's split across 2 weeks. But here's the lineup for this week, Elson. We talked about getting close to not doing fantasy golf anymore because we're about 15,000 or something. We're getting a little bit closer this week. We need something magical to happen to continue to do this. I think this segment in our show, Elson, might be a time where listeners go for a bathroom break or go get something to eat, because I can't say many people are enjoying the mediocrity picks that I have here for the TJ Cup, Byron Nelson here on our fantasy golf. What kind of hate, what kind of slander do you got? Because I'm here for it today.
So the results in terms of rankings might not be there, but anytime you pick somebody named Seamus Power, I can't really be opposed to that.
Okay.
So I feel like we're doing just fine, personally.
Okay. That was a little bit of an impulsive pick in the terms of Irishman, by the way.
Best kind of picks.
He projected. I don't know exactly how the fantasy golf projects their points, but he was projected to have the most points this week. And I was like, okay, you know what? Rory McIlroy and Scotty, number 1 and 2 in the world, are in the field this week. I didn't want to use my picks on this tournament for them, though. So just kind of, seeing what we got, because there are a couple majors coming up I'd rather be picking them for. But yeah, Seamus Power, all-time name on the tour. Gotta love it. He's a good player. I think he's one of the younger guys trying to merge a little bit and enter themselves into that top tier of PGA Tour caliber players, and we'll see what he's got. Seamus Power, all-time player, though. Happy that caught your eye, though, Elson. What is catching my eye, though, is that the MLB season kicks off, the real season, not spring training. Opening day is tomorrow. The Brew Crew are in New York, and kind of a marquee opening day matchup in a way, as they take on the New York Yankees. Nationally televised game. I believe Joe Buck is on the call for this game on Fox, so it'll be a fun one to see. The Brew Crew getting back in action, Elson. How are we feeling about how about the Brewers, and what are we looking at here this year? As a fan of like you, what's a good expectation that we can have coming into it?
So I've learned to just kind of temper my expectation on the Brewers, because every year it feels like Milwaukee's a little bit slept on heading into the season, and they're going to miss the playoffs. And then enough goes right as far as just having the roster depth and having a player or two that isn't a household name step up, and we make it to the playoffs, and then it's a first-round exit. And it feels like it's the same old story. I checked out the Athletics MLB power rankings, just getting a sense for where some teams are. And sure enough, Brewers at like 19 or so, 25% chance to make the playoffs. And you just know that we're going to get enough out of the young guys to make it there. This probably isn't the year Milwaukee goes over the hump, but, it'll be nice to have on in the background while I'm studying. Yeah,
we'll see how the Brew Crew can do. They're fun to watch during the regular season. They get in the playoffs, and they do a good job of breaking your heart. This is a team that's going to be intriguing. They're a team that really didn't get much better. They if anything, lost pieces and they have young guys replacing. And so it's how can these guys step up? Like I think we talked about earlier, I think maybe at the beginning of spring training or somewhere in between, there's a room for a big time move to happen. A move like a Willie Adames trade that really kind of changed the outlook of the franchise. There's opportunity for there, whether that's maybe on the pitching side, both in the rotation, in the bullpen, or if that's potentially in the offense side. Probably more in looking on the infield than anything. Joey Ortiz moves over to shortstop, so that third base position is going to be platooned. You got guys like Oliver Dunn, Andrew Monasterio. I'm not sure if Caleb Durbin made the roster or not, but a couple guys that might be seeing some games. Monasterio and Dunn probably are the two most likely players to get some time there. I also consider Sal Frelick. It's a loaded outfield. There's not only 3 positions. If you want to throw a DH in there, 4. And there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are starting caliber. So there's not a lot of positions for them to go. Where can they potentially get looked at? Saul Frelick has got reps at third base. So him and Oliver Dunn, both lefties. Andrew Monasterio already seeing kind of what pitching matchups and seeing how this game and this season can kind of unfold looking at the third base position. I think is the most intriguing part of this season. I'm excited for a guy like Nestor Cortez coming in, a new player. We should see him in this opening series against the Yankees in New York. So it'll be interesting to see how this team looks. I think it'll be, if there were to be a Willie Adames caliber move, that came in about June. And when that move came. So in the first half of the year, I think it'll be interesting to see how the Brewers start this season. If they go off to a hot start and things are looking good, I could see this team waiting till the deadline to potentially add a veteran guy, someone who's going to make them better in the playoffs. Otherwise, if this is a 500, maybe a little bit of a shaky start, not exactly how the Brewers were potentially expecting the start of the season to go, there I could see the door being open for a big-time player being brought into Milwaukee. A lot of prospects to be able to ship off and make a move like that.
You know, it kind of breaks my heart, but I feel like the smart play for me might be to not watch the Brewers at all, because there's this interesting phenomenon where whenever I watch the Brewers, something really bad happens. Like my first couple of Brewers memories were, I think the first Brewers game I ever watched, I was at my grandma's house and we were up by like 5 runs and Corey Knebel blew the save. And I think it was the next season. It's like Brewers have big expectations for the postseason, and then Christian Yelich has that career-altering injury. And I flip on the first spring training game that I had the opportunity to watch probably about a week ago now, and Brewers are up big, I think 3 or 4 runs. Lead gets whittled down a little bit, and then it's an 8th inning. Don't remember if it was a grand slam or a 3-run shot, and the Brewers choke it away in the 8th inning. And it's like every time, I know it's spring training, but I better like save that for spring training and let the Brewers do their thing in the regular season, because when I don't watch them, they're perfectly fine. I watch all the playoff games, and you see where the Brew Crew always falls off. I think this one's on me.
Yeah, let's get you off. Oklahoma, do you have regular access to these games?
Not really.
More like the national televised games. So let's just make sure we're not watching anything, if that's the case.
I'll stick to football.
Okay, we'll accept.
And maybe some Tulsa Drillers games, AAA team.
Okay, there you go.
At One Oak Park, because my first attempt at it was Oniok. It's like an oil company because it's Tulsa and everything's sponsored by oil companies. Okay. And then I was talking to one of my friends and I'm like, oh, because like One Oak owns everything in the city. I swear to God, everything is sponsored by them. And I'm like, oh, it's One OK, right? And I'm like, it's One Oak. So now I finally got it. Gonna watch the Tulsa Drillers. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah,
that'll be intriguing to potentially hear back on. I'm excited for it. MLB season. It's a long season, but it's kind of it's a signal that the summer is almost here and is going to be here. To consider that the next time that we will not have a baseball game will be in the fall and we'll be sophomores is a good feeling.
It's wild.
It's a good feeling because between now and then is the summer, and that's what we're trying to get to here for a little bit of the Rupert podcast. But something coming up in the next month, Austin Gratz. It's potentially the best sports event all year long. I know it's your favorite. It's the NFL draft. And we got mock draft 2.0 to happen here. We're an hour into the episode. It might be another hour, but we're going to build the most perfect mock draft ever in the existence in this, our 2.0. Third one will be coming the day before the draft. April 23rd. The Wednesday before the first round. So that'll be our 3.0. Austin, I think we had a pretty good system last time. If we go back and forth, I think it it should work pretty well. Why don't you? Well, I got a few things to pull up so that I'm not talking to you blindly, but why don't you give the people a little bit of a preview? What in the last month has happened in the draft world? Do we got any storylines developing? What do you know from your insider expertise?
So obviously we had free agency, and that shakes everything up, particularly with the quarterbacks. Like, it's pretty much a lock that Cam Ward is going to go number 1 overall now, because not only did the Titans not bring in a real starting quarterback, but they also put all their free agency eggs, all the money they spent went to the offensive line. So I think that's a pretty clear signal. I think since the last mock draft, Myles Garrett has officially been brought back to Cleveland. And just today or yesterday, I think it was yesterday actually, because I remember I learned about it right after one of my tests. Russell Wilson goes to New York. And we'll get to this in a moment, but I really do think that matters, because the quarterback conversation hasn't really changed. It's still Cam Ward, and then it's everybody else. As far as, had we had the combine when we did our 1.0?
It's a very good question. I believe, I want to say we, no, I don't think we did. I think it was like the week before.
There are a couple guys that are going to be going a lot higher in that case. I don't think this was like a wild combine. There weren't any Xavier Worthies that went from like 3rd, 4th round picks to the 1st round, but there are definitely some names that shot up boards. Definitely looking at Shamar Stewart, who's a guy that I like a lot.
Okay, let's get into this then. Should we go with the back and forth? I think that worked pretty good last time.
I think so. Is there a way we can arrange it where you get the Cowboys and I get the Packers? Yeah, I'll take odds.
You get odds, I got even. So let's get it started, my man.
All right. Entering the PFF mock draft simulator now. And like we just touched on, this is a predictive mock. The Titans going Cam Ward. I really do feel like it's a gimme. There's just no world where they give Will Levis another year. Pencil that one in, make it official.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. I think Cam Ward, like you mentioned, that's kind of the narrative around the league, that Cam Ward is going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick. The Titans like him a lot. I would love to see a curveball and see someone else get taken. I think that'd be great. But, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. That'll be interesting to see. We're going no trades, or are we going trades?
I think trades are fine as long as we can get them done within like half an hour of the pick.
Okay, that sounds good. At number 2 with the Browns, I think you kind of hit on this a little bit on the intro. You got Myles Garrett. He's back. I think at the last time we talked, he was potentially wanting to be traded. I don't know if that was before or after our last draft, but here we are now, the Browns on the clock. I think having the option to have a guy like Abdul Carter on the other side of Myles Garrett is going to be very intriguing. I'm going to go with that.
All right. I think that's a great pick. I am lower than a lot of people on Abdul Carter. I have him right on the border of a top 5 to top 10 grade. And I think putting him beside Myles Garrett, who's going to draw all the double teams, that is how you get the absolute most out of him and turn him into a Myles Garrett-like player.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I have the New York Giants, and they're in a weird spot because they just brought in Russell Wilson, the coach and the GM, both battling for their life right now, trying to keep the job in the next season. They know they probably need to make the playoffs. And is Russell Wilson really the guy to do that with? Shadur Sanders is sitting on the board. They didn't have to move up for him. But man, this is a team that wants to win. I think Ashton Genty's in play here. But no, we're not doing that. We are going Travis Hunter. I'm not going to overthink this. I thought about Shadur there for a minute.
Yeah, I like it.
They like Shadur more than most teams, but Travis Hunter is the biggest impact in this class, maybe outside of Genty, at least on day 1. That's the pick.
Yeah, I like it. I think 3, it's an interesting pick. I think that this is their team. They're very content with Russell Wilson bringing in. There is a team that really, really was trying anything in their power to be able to go out and get some sort of bridge quarterback. They were not going to rely on getting some sort of rookie guy. Not to say the door is closed that they don't get someone as well as Russell Wilson. But this is a team, like you mentioned, they got to win now. I think Travis Hunter is a good pick. I think that fits really well. I think that's going to be intriguing. I like it a lot. Now, here come the Patriots. They just signed Stephon Diggs. They spent a lot of money. They got was rookie quarterback Drake May, sorry. And so now what do we do? Are we trying to build that offense, or are we trying to build a little bit of culture? Mike Vrabel is the kind of guy that I think potentially likes to build from the front seven, from the big guys to the small guys. I don't know about you, Austin, but I got Will Campbell as my number one offensive lineman. I think he's a good fit here for these guys. I think they bolster the offensive line to protect.
I could totally see that happening. I don't know what to do with Will Campbell because he checks the tape box. His tape is really, really good. Probably the best in this class, like you said. At the combine, he's got among the shortest arms in attendance and just like a ridiculously small wingspan, like a 0th percentile wingspan for starting NFL offensive linemen. I think he can overcome it. Do front offices think he can overcome it? I don't know. I feel like his range of outcomes is anywhere from like 4th pick in the draft to like the 49ers at 11. So I could totally see the Patriots going Will Campbell. Armand Membu is getting a lot of buzz after the combine. To be perfectly honest with you, I'll pick him high in this mock because I think it's real, but I totally don't get it. Now we've got the I mean, I like him, but I don't like him that high. We've got the Jags at 5. Mason Graham is another kind of Will Campbell-y player. The tape is very, very good. He's definitely on the smaller end. They could use defensive back, but we're still going to settle for Mason Graham. This is a weird top 5. There aren't a lot of top 5 talents. You take good football players where you can get them.
I think Mason Graham's a good pick. I like it a lot. I think that this is probably this is how I think I could imagine it going so far. I think it's realistic. So then we're going here at 6 to the Oakland Raiders, and you got a couple needs. According to this mock draft simulator, a couple needs are cornerback, running back, wide receiver. This is one of the teams I do fear that Ashton Genty could be taken by instead, and I should say before, my Dallas Cowboys. So there's a slight concern in that regard. I don't want to do it, but I think I might have to. I mean, if you look corner, potentially, you got Will Johnson, probably the next available. Seems maybe slightly early for him. Wide receiver, do they take one of these wide receivers? I don't know. I mean, you got Geno Smith. I think I can name their running back or a receiver on their team. So they probably need a weapon of some sort. This is a Pete Carroll team. He came from having Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and JSN. So he had weapons. I don't know. Do you think Genty's crazy here, Elson?
I don't think Genty's crazy at all. And like you said, there are a lot of ways they could go. They could go Tedero McMillan. They could go Will Johnson. They could go Shedeur Sanders and just sit him behind Geno Smith. But unfortunately for you, I do think Ashton Genty is the most likely. Seems like front offices are finally coming around on the fact that this is a once every few years kind of talent, and you don't let him slide very far.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think we'll go Ashton Genty. I do remember back to like just after the NFL season, might have been even, the college football season. It might have even been during the college football season, and they talked about like there's a lot of buzz with Shedeur going to the Raiders. A lot of conversations in that regard. I don't hate that move at all. I'm not 100% sure if it's realistic, but there's potential there. I don't know about it. I think Ashton Genty is a safe pick. Here's the Jets now.
Oh, man, this is not easy for the Jets. They don't have their long-term QB in place because their long-term QB is not going to be Justin Fields. But I just don't see Shedeur as a fit here. They're going to want to replace Devontae Adams, but they haven't had a good tight end in quite a while. Let's see who we have available on the defensive side. I mean, they could use defensive line. I don't think you pick an edge rusher here when you're not forced to. I'm going to go Tyler Warren. This was probably the pick that I made for them last time. There's just not a lot to dislike about Tyler Warren. There was a lot of talk about them going Brock Bowers in a similar spot in last year's draft, and they went Olu Fashanu instead. Olu Fashanu was fine for them when Tyron Smith was out of the lineup, but I think you'd rather have Brock Bowers, and they don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, there you go. Tyler Warren to the Jets. I think at 8 with the Panthers, I think a good pick here is going to be Will Johnson. Do you concur?
So they just locked up J.C. Horn long-term.
Okay.
He's the CB1. I'm not going to lie. I don't know who their second-string cornerback is. I know that they've got Shaw Smith-Wade, a rookie from last year in the slot. I don't think it's crazy. I think there are players that they would maybe rather have on defense, but this is a really tough defensive class to gauge, so I think Will Johnson is perfectly fine here.
All right, let's do it.
Let me Where's CB at? There it is. All right. Now at number 9, the New Orleans Saints. So new defensive coordinator. They're a 3-4 team now. I don't think that – oh, man. Do I go Shedeur here? Because Shedeur, I think, is going to go at some point.
Maybe, I mean, is there a trade-up potentially with this team for a guy like Shedeur?
Because the Saints do need everything. Let's see. Let me go to the trade tab. What would be a good fit for Shedeur Sanders? The Dallas Cowboys, because they're going to trade Dak away. Cardinals, no. Bengals, obviously not. Seahawks?
It's Sam Darnold multiple years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big contract with Darnold. I think they do want to make him the franchise guy. Steelers? Have the Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers yet? They haven't, have they?
No, they have not.
Oh, man, Aaron Rodgers.
That's a big jump, man.
In the same room.
These are some
I
big jumps.
don't think you can move on from it. I think those Saints got a stick and pick here. And I think you could go Tet McMillan because Chris Olave is always hurt. You know what? Tet McMillan is starting to slide down the board. This is a very deep defensive group where you can get guys you like a lot into round 2. I've been grinding a lot of tape on the edge rushers in this class, and I do think it's about as good as advertised. I'm going to go Tetairoa McMillan to the Saints. Get him a real big-bodied guy because the guys they're starting, Olave and Shaheed, just not that body type.
I like it a lot. I think at 10, a good fit, a team that spent a lot of money on the offensive line, particularly with the Bears I'm talking here, a team particularly on the interior offensive line more, but why not go get a guy like Armin Amembu at 10 to bolster a tackle position, add another guy. You can never have enough offensive linemen. Ben Johnson wants to have his opportunity to have a star offensive lineman, a guy he can try to develop. We know the Lions had a great offensive line. I like Armin Abembu at 10 to the Bears.
And the thing is, I know that they traded in Kevin Dotson from the Rams, but he's a guy that's had a lot of injury issues as well. I've done my full Armand Amembu evaluation, and I think he's got work to do, but he could work out at guard. I do think that he's guard, tackle, flexible, really athletic blocker, climbing up to the second level, got a lot better as the season went on. He'll find a place in that offensive line. Now we've got the San Francisco 49ers, and this is a pick where I don't know if it's becoming chalk yet, but I think that it will because it checks all the boxes as far as how good the player is, the team need, the kind of player that they want. Walter Nolan to the San Francisco 49ers, really athletic 3-tech. I think he's underrated as far as how good he is as a pass rusher on day one. People are calling him raw. I see all kinds of great pass rush moves with this guy. I think it checks out. Walter Nolan at 11. As the first offensive player off the first defensive lineman off the board in this class. That is insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. This is kind of the reverse in a way of what I thought. I thought there'd be a run on quarterbacks where a lot of these good players would fall. But here we go. Well, Mason Graham did go before him, by the way.
Oh, Mason Graham. You're right.
Anyways, we got a lot of good positional players going here, and the quarterbacks potentially starting to slip a little bit. But here's a move. This is something that, as a Cowboy fan, I would really like to see. If Ashton Genty is not there for us at 12, I would like to see us move back and potentially try to get a wide receiver. Do we like a potential trade up for Shedeur here and let the Cowboys move back and get a receiver?
Well, all right. Let's see the teams that we have available for a trade up. The Seahawks are on the phone in the mock draft simulator. So are the Steelers.
All right.
I mean, that's tough. Do the Seahawks really move up for Shedeur? I don't think they move up for him because they should be competitive next year. They don't have to be desperate for that. The Steelers, again, Aaron Rodgers and Shedeur Sanders. What are our other options? Chargers, no. Packers, no. Vikes, no. Texans, no.
Could we see
LA Rams?
I thought the Rams maybe. I don't know if I'm 100% loving Shedeur to the Rams. But, like, could we potentially mock one of the most blockbuster trades, like a team that is already picked, potentially in the top 10 to trade back into the first round and make a move?
In the interest of keeping this realistic, what you would have to do to get that done is you would probably have to trade a day one pick next year and a day 2 pick and then probably a couple day 3 picks.
Absolutely.
And I don't think any team is doing that for Shedeur Sanders. Now, if it was like last year's draft, then I could maybe get behind that because that draft was crazy good.
So what do we think here at 12?
I mean, if you want to move back, I think that there are players people would move back for. Like someone's still sitting around on the defensive line potentially. Oh, I don't know. You might have to stick and pick, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Don't either.
If you want to trade, I think someone might move up for Kelvin Banks as the last like true starting tackle available, or you can stay here and pick.
I say for the interest of what we've done so far, I say I'll stick and pick. And I've heard Matthew Golden is very popular to the Dallas Cowboys. Luther Burden's been another name. Otherwise, offensive line needs some help. I wouldn't say the tackles are the biggest of priorities. I would be really ashamed if we went tackle 2 years in a row, especially after Tyler Guyton turned out to
He's
be
a guard.
basically a guard now, yeah.
Tyler Smith pathway. Twin Tylers in the guard spots.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, my. I think Shamir Stewart is also intriguing here as well. Let's just go safe. I think Matthew Golden's a good pick. I think this is a team that wants him. I think we'll go Matthew Golden.
He's being underdrafted in predictive mocks right now because he just checks all the boxes except for like elite production. But you don't have to have elite production to be a high first-round wide receiver. He's got soft hands. He's super athletic going up with body control at the catch point and making tough grabs. Ran a 4.29. You just watch the guy. And I remember I was watching Isaiah Bond from Texas. And Matthew Golden came onto the scene and kind of like pushed Isaiah Bond out of the starting lineup. And I was like, who is this guy who's just tearing up ground and has crazy snap in his routes? That's got to be Golden, right? And sure enough, that was Golden. So, yeah, he's going to go higher than people expect. Now we got the Dolphins at 13. Armand Membu is a good fit for them. He's gone. They don't need, well, they could use cornerback help, but that would be a little early for them. They need, you know what? This is the chalky pick. Everybody makes it out like it's some perfect scheme fit. I just got done evaluating Kelvin Banks. It's not a perfect scheme fit. That's okay. He's just a stud left tackle. Started all 4 years of high school, 4-time all-district selection. Started all 3 years as the Longhorns left tackle. Freshman All-America, all Big 12, All-American as a senior, as a junior. Guy is just really good every season. So I don't think you're going to get any complaints there.
I like it. Colts at 14. They just got their man Danny Dimes. They probably could use a tight end. I wouldn't say there's one I would draft here. Otherwise, boosting the offensive line, maybe something defensively. Just looking at my board to see. I mean, maybe going edge rusher like a Shamir. Is it Shamar or Shamir? Shamar Stewart. Okay. What do you think? Is it too early for Tyler Booker even?
So Tyler Booker is hard to get a read on because I'm working on his evaluation right now as well. And he's a really good football player. He's one of the smartest guards that I've ever seen. He's powerful. He doesn't move very well, but that's not like a huge part of the Colts scheme. They could pull the trigger there, but with needs on defense, I think you're a lot more comfortable going defense here because there are still some really good defenders left on the board, especially on the line.
Okay, let's go Shamar Stewart. I think he's going to be a good fit. I like him.
They lost Dio Odeyingbo, who was a starter for them, to the Bears. Get his replacement. Shamar is going to go early. It's so weird because he has 4.5 career sacks, but you watch him and it's like, this is a guy who really should be an impact at the next level. So I don't mind that at all. Now we got the Falcons. They're going to go defense. In my what I would do mock draft, I gave them Luther Burden, I believe. Luther Burden or Matthew Golden, one of the two. They only sent defensive scouts to the combine. They're absolutely going defense. Michael Williams isn't a great scheme fit, but you know who is Jalen Walker, kind of the off-ball edge rusher from Georgia. I mean, a guy who legitimately played both Mike linebacker and then would kick out to wide 9 on third down. One of the best leaders in college football, a really smart guy, exceptional athlete. Hard to complain about this pick.
So here's the Cardinals, and I think if someone can walk and is breathing, that knows how to play defense, I think the Cardinals are interested because they were god awful last year on that side of the ball. I wouldn't say secondary is the biggest need. Do you like Michael Williams or James Pierce Jr. here?
So I am a big not James Pierce Jr. guy, but that doesn't matter because this is a predictive mock. However, my take, like right now, if I had to make one big take on the draft, it would be James Pierce Jr. does not go in the first round. I think he might. I think there's a real chance, but he is a speed rusher with short arms. He does not have bend. He gets killed as a run defender, and he has off-field question marks that aren't they're different than Mike Green's because James Pierce Jr. is said to be really, really uncoachable. And I did some research on that to find out if it's real because people have said the same thing about Walter Nolan. I don't think it's real with Walter Nolan. I think it's real with James Pierce Jr. He's got a lot of work to do, and I don't know if he's going to put that work in. I would like Michael Williams here a lot. Now, they did just go Darius out of Missouri on the defensive line who plays a little bit of both edge and interior last year. And then they did sign Josh Sweat in free agency. But I could still see them making this pick. Is that who you want to go with?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I mean, I like Michael Williams a lot. I wouldn't have any issue with that.
Yeah. Bengals at 17.
Oh, man. Just like the Cardinals, probably more so than the Cardinals. Anybody who plays defense. We got Jahdae Barron still sitting here. They got Dax Hill in the slot. He was hurt last year. He's a good player, though. Jahad Campbell. They got Logan Wilson, really good linebacker. They really shouldn't have been as bad as they were last year. What they don't have is a safety. Geno Stone, who they're starting, is awful. I'm going to go Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina above Malachi Starks. That's a big take I have as well. Teams are going to love Nick Emanwari's combine numbers.
All right, there you go. Seahawks, a team that they just signed Sam Darnold to their bridge quarterback, 3 years, a lot of money. In addition, they got rid of DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett is gone, so they have JSN and JSN only. And Cooper Kupp. That is correct. Cooper Kupp
but washed up Cooper Kupp.
Well, so they say. So what do we do? Yeah, I think he can play too. So what do we do here? Are they in the position to draft Shedeur Senior? I think it's crazy Shedeur is still there at 18. I would imagine like even Jackson Dart would have been like, when I just take a glance, like I think Jackson Dart is also gone at 18, but Shedeur is still here. I don't think this could be like one of the first real opportunities on this little run. Like the Cowboys, the Dolphins, I guess maybe the Colts, but the Falcons do, Cardinals do, Bengals do. They all got their quarterback. So Shedeur's not going anywhere there. I don't see Seattle being interested in Shedeur either. Do we go offensive line? Is this a Tyler Booker move? Or do we go something on the defense? Or do we add a weapon? Also, I need a little help here.
So I hated this pick so much that I had them trade back with the Chargers. I had the Chargers come up for Shamar Stewart in my what I would do mock draft, specifically because they need interior offensive line so bad. But I thought this was too early for Tyler Booker, who is not a good scheme fit, by the way. So that wasn't perfect either. And then I had them pick him at pick 22 or 23, wherever the Chargers are at. Oh, man. I don't think you can go Tyler Booker here because that's a reach and a player who's not good for a wide zone offense. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, who's a tackle, who's athletic and good. He's going to kick into guard. But at 18, oh, man, who's the best player on the board? I think somebody needs to trade up here. Who do you like most of the remaining guys? You got Jahad Campbell, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks.
I mean, a lot of good secondary there. I would argue Shedeur is the best guy on the board right now.
Who comes up for him, though?
That's the hardest part. I mean, is this reasonable for, like, the Rams?
I don't think it's unreasonable. I could see him doing it. But the thing is, between Seattle, you got Tampa Bay, no. Denver, no. Steelers?
I don't see Shedeur going to Pittsburgh.
But maybe they jump the Steelers to make sure.
Maybe.
Do we want to do it? Rams come up. Seahawks move back, get to a better spot to draft interior offensive lineman.
Let's try it. I mean, why not? We haven't done one all day. We might as well, right? Get the people what they want.
So the Rams give up pick number 26. The Seahawks give up 18. And what else do the Rams need to throw in? second round next year and a fourth and a sixth this year. You think
Sure.
that's enough?
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and force the trade. I don't need it to be luck of the draw. All right, Rams come up and take Shedeur Sanders.
I like it. Yeah, let's do that.
All right, Shedeur is off the board. And now we got Tampa Bay picking at 19. They went out and added Hassan Reddick in free agency. They actually they have some pass rushers on the defensive line. Vita Vea is a nose tackle who gets after the QB. Kalijah Kancey is one of the best interior rushers in the NFL. I think Yaya Diaby is a perfectly fine number 2. Levante David is going to run it back for another year. But I really think it's important to draft a year ahead of what you need. And the Bucs are in a good spot. Like, Chris Godwin's back. The offensive line's better than ever. Bucky Irving looks like a smash hit as a running back. I'm going to take Jihad Campbell here. It's about time that he came off the board.
Okay. The Broncos, a team that's looking pretty good so far. Could they maybe use a offensive lineman? I don't know, but this is a team. Who did they add in their secondary?
They got Tal Hufanga from the 49ers, and I think that's all in the secondary, but they got Dre Greenlaw as well as a linebacker.
As a linebacker position, okay. Who's on the other side of Pat Surtain?
Riley Moss, who was very good outside of that one game where T. Higgins absolutely ate his lunch coming back from injury.
Okay, so they probably don't need to go like a Dave Barron kind of guy. Do we like a Luther Burden?
They're hard. It's challenging at wide receiver because you got Cortland Sutton, who's good, but you don't love him as a number 1. And then you got Marvin Mims, who got hot at the end of the season last year. They need a third pass catcher, definitely. I think that could be Colston Loveland. I think that could be Luther Burden as well. Could probably be Emeka Egbuka. I think it's whatever pass catcher you want to take here. Or running back, saying.
Yeah. Still seems like a bit of, who is the running back even? Audric Estime?
And the tiny scat back, Jaleel McLaughlin.
Okay. I don't even know what running back to go here.
I mean, to be clear, I'm not trying to discourage you from taking a pass catcher. Those are their 2 big needs to me.
Marion Hampton, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. Let's go Luther Burden.
Okay. He really is underrated. He doesn't have the production because Brady Cook played last year hurt and was just awful. I watched some of that Missouri offense, watching Armand Membu, watching Theo Weiss at the same time. Luther Burden pops, and Brady Cook pops because he couldn't get the football to anybody. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 21. So Shedeur Sanders is off the board. I'm not going to have him reach for Jackson Dart. I do think Jackson Dart could go in the first round. However, I think that now that Russell Wilson has signed, the odds of that happening fall really dramatically. If we did this 2 days ago, my process would have gone Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders number 2, and Jackson Dart number 3. Right now, I think it's a lot more of a toss-up if he goes round 1. So the Steelers could use a running back. Doesn't feel like a Steelers sort of pick. They could use a line. It's not very deep at line right now. They could use cornerback help. I don't think they signed anybody in free agency. Oh, this feels like best player available. This could be a Kenneth Grant spot. I'm going to look up their depth chart real quick.
Okay.
We're getting into the weeds for this one.
Yeah, it's a big-time pick, no doubt.
Because right now I'm thinking they need somebody opposite Joey Porter Jr. Oh, they added Darius Slay, but they've got nothing after that. And Darius Slay isn't going to be around for very long. Brandon Eakles and Beanie Bishop in the slot. Beanie Bishop was all right last year. He's a guy who can move around. I'm going to take Jahdae Barron.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. Chargers here. I think Kenneth Grant's a good fit. Otherwise, I do like Colston Loveland. The Michigan comparison with Jim Harbaugh is intriguing, no doubt about it. They need a tight end. I think any type of pass catcher will help Justin Herbert.
And they lost Poona Ford, who was a stud for them last year in free agency, as kind of a nose tackle.
Yeah. And Kenneth Grant is actually from Michigan too, isn't he? Let's go Kenneth Grant. I like it a lot.
The run on defensive line really starting to take hold here. Green Bay Packers at 23.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do something that sucks with this pick. I'm almost sure of it because every single year the Packers are really underwhelming. I just recently did like a 7-round mock for us, just like for fun, with all the other teams being automatic. And I tried to make the most Packers-y pick. And I couldn't go line again because we're so stocked to capacity at offensive line, even though we love to draft college tackles and move them inside, which is what this draft is fantastic for. I'm going to go Derek Harmon from Oregon because it's fine. Like, we could use more defensive line, but it's just kind of That feels about right. Is there anyone more athletic than him? We'll go Derek Harmon.
I was going to say that there's not many Georgia defensive players other than Malachi Starks, but you got Xavier McKinney, so I don't know if he's going to be much of a need for you.
And a big-time second-year guy in Evan Williams as well, who was really good last season. But they definitely want a Georgia defensive player.
Yeah, no doubt. They're going to try their best. Maybe they'll trade up for a guy like that. How about we go Malachi Starks at 24 to the Vikings?
Love it. It's the same pick that I made in my what I would do mock draft. I think that he is probably going to go lower than people expect. I think he's probably going to go right around here, get Brian Flores a really good defensive player to add into the lineup.
Potentially successor to Harrison Smith as well. Successor.
Who just keeps on playing well, but it can't last forever, right?
Right.
Draft a year ahead. All right, the Texans at 25. They need wideout, but they still need offensive line really badly. They made another move that I thought was like they got a starter. I want to take a look at their line, see how bad it is. They added Cam Robinson, who has been a career Jaguar, traded to Minnesota last year, filling in for Christian Darrisaw. He was pretty good. And oh my God, they're still starting Blake Fisher at right tackle, and we cannot do that. So I am going to pick Josh, and he's a Notre Dame guy. I'm sorry. He was good at Notre Dame. He was absolutely terrible in his first year. Josh Simmons from Ohio State. He's an injury question mark. I think that's being overstated. He's got the best pass protection tape in this class. I think he's going round 1.
All right, I like the pick. So we get the Steelers the Seahawks who traded back here to 26. Seems like maybe they go some sort of offensive line here. Do they go Tyler Booker now?
So I'm grabbing my Charger right now. I think now that it's later in the draft and they can kind of pick whoever they want, I think they're more likely to go with their scheme fit. And I would go with who are the athletic linemen?
Gray Zabel?
Gray Zabel's an option. A little early for Mark Zimbo. I think Gray Zabel's probably the chalkiest pick here.
All right, let's do it.
I got to plug my Chromebook in so it doesn't die mid-episode. We got the Baltimore Ravens at 27, and they need edge rusher, and things are actually pretty good for them. You got James Pierce sitting there. Donovan Ezra-Rock. Oh, see, this is hard because you've got Mike Green, who has the sexual assault thing still very much going on, and then you've got James Pierce Jr., who's a project. And you think of the Ravens as like a good developing defensive lineman team, and then you realize that they drafted David Ojabo, and he's 5th on their depth chart right now after a lot of people liked him, and Odafe Owe hasn't really come along, so they're really not that good at drafting and developing edge rushers. You know, I think Mike Green is going to go higher than people expect. And not to get like too deep with it, but basically – whether he did really bad things in the past or not, he's been clean for the last 3 or so years, and those things aren't going to affect his availability. If he does new stupid things and really bad things, that will. But I think teams are willing to take that swing on a really high upside prospect. Mike Green's got to go in the first round.
All right, let's do it. Lions at 28, another team that maybe I feel like it's kind of a best available type situation. Not sure if you agree.
They can go anywhere.
Don't like a lot of these fits potentially as their best available. You got any help? Give me some ideas. You got anything for me?
Well, they could use offensive line definitely. And, you're getting to the point where I could see an Ariante Ursary going in the first round. Tyler Booker's still sitting there. I think he fits what they want to do. They're a very multiple run team. Or you could draft on the defensive line. Any just strong, powerful edge or interior guy. Like I think Nick Scorton would be perfectly fine here. There are a lot of good options for them.
Let's go Tyler Booker. I think it's time for him to go. I think he'll be a good fit.
They lost Kevin Zeitler in free agency. Should plug in and be a very similar smart player. Commanders at 29. And PFF has running back listed as their top need. I mean, Brian Robinson's fine. They could really use another corner because Marshawn Lattimore was rough for them last year. I'm going to look up their depth chart. I feel like these picks get harder and harder to make as the draft wears on. So wide receiver, you would think that they're fine. They could draft a guy. I mean, do you really want to start Luke McCaffrey in the slot? Offensive line, I think they're okay. And starting Andrew Wiley at right tackle. Kind of have a sneaky amount of needs. They went out and paid Javon Kinlaw a bunch of money on the defensive line, but you can still draft there. They could use a safety.
I don't mean
They're
to make a
starting
pick for
Noah
you, but
Igbinoghene right now. Oh my gosh, the Commanders have more needs than I thought they did. This is like truly best player available.
This is your pick. I like Ibuka here.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Because he's going to be a trust target for Jaden Daniels, but a guy that he can actually build chemistry with long term. Zach Ertz was fun last season. It's not going to last forever. And I have a personal vendetta against Luke McCaffrey and the fact that they drafted him in the third round. So I don't mind getting a new slot guy.
Okay, there you go. Here are the Bills at 20 or at 30. Excuse me. We're getting down to the thick of it. Do we think like a front seven, like a Nick Scorton kind of guy, or like a Tyreek Williams? Maybe a little early for him.
I'm not going to tell you to make this pick because this is just a little bit of a feeling I have. One thing I've heard from a lot of Bills fans that I've talked to is that they really need just a one-tech defensive tackle, like a guy to eat space up front. And so I do think they want a big, tough defensive lineman, whether he's interior or edge. I don't think they go linebacker here because Campbell's gone, but yeah, I could definitely see front seven.
Who do you like better, Nick Scorton, James Pierce Jr., or Tyreek Williams?
I don't think Pierce isn't a good scheme fit for them because Pierce truly has to be a stand-up outside linebacker, and they like their edges playing with a hand in the dirt. Let me check who their number 2 is because they released Vaughn, and they got Joey Bosa, who's going to get hurt because it's what he does. I just got done watching Nick Scorton's tape. It's weird because he was playing at 285 pounds with Texas A&M, and he's a speed rusher. So it's bizarre to watch this guy who looks like he's a defensive tackle try to run around the offensive tackle's outside shoulder every play. At the combine, he shows up at 260. And that's what he played at Purdue when he was people's number 1 edge rusher in a fantastic edge rusher class. I think he goes first round. I think this is a good landing spot for him. Get some insurance for when Joey Bosa gets hurt. No problem.
I like it. 2 to go.
Kansas City. Oh, this is mine, isn't it? Kansas City Chiefs at 31. Oh, they could use offensive line help pretty badly. They need a tight end, and Colston Loveland is sitting there. This is going to be the 4th consecutive pull up the depth chart pick. The Chiefs have so many needs. I think I gave them Omarion Hampton in my first mock, which felt insane. But they didn't have a run game last year. They were dead last in explosive run rate. So it's got to be offense. They need more offensive firepower. That was a big part of why they lost the Super Bowl. Receiver core is Hollywood, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice. So they got 3 deep threats. That's an option. Oh, man, I'm not going to go running back again because we've only had 1 running back come off the board so far. You know what? I don't think this is going to be popular. But Colston Loveland has fallen a long way. I'm going to go Colston Loveland.
All right, let's do it. I think that'd be a fun scheme fit. Last but Mr. Irrelevant, not really. Pick here for Alex. Shout out Alex Hernandez joining us earlier today.
Should get him on the phone.
Yeah,
Tell him who
let's
we've got
get him
left.
back in here. We need help making this pick. Team that probably just kind of in a best available type situation. I don't know. This is I'm gonna need a little. I'm gonna call in the big dog here, Elson. I need a little bit of your help.
So Philly is a master at taking the best player that's fallen down the board. The Quinyon Mitchells, the Cooper DeJeans. It feels like year after year, they're getting that one guy that everybody else overthinks. They could use some reinforcements on the defensive line. They lose Josh Sweat, who is obviously huge for them. They lose Milton Williams. If you want like an interesting storyline into next year, I don't know if you remember Moro Ojimo in the Super Bowl. He's like a day 3 defensive lineman they drafted. Dude can play. He's going to be really good for them next year. But Brandon Graham retires. They need help on the edge. If James Pierce Jr. goes in the first round, I think this is a good landing spot for him. It's a scheme fit. If anybody can clean up the off-field stuff, Jalen Carter had off-field stuff. That hasn't shown up for them. Going to go James Pierce Jr. to wrap up the mock draft.
I like it. I think it's a good, solid draft. We made one trade in it, and I think overall it turns out to be pretty good. The official 2.0 mock draft with the Ripper Podcast. You can tell the lighting on both of our faces has changed as the night slowly crawls in, as the dynamic daylight out here on the pod with after daylight savings is pretty good. I like it.
Do they have that in Madden now? Did we get dynamic lighting before Madden did? Like, can you see the sun setting?
It's a good question. I don't know if I've ever really truly paid attention to it. Maybe we might have.
I think it might be quarter to quarter in Madden. So like third to fourth, the sun sets a little bit, but before that, not so much. So yes, our lighting is better than that of a AAA sports developers. So just saying, folks, this is why you watch us.
That's exactly right. Here's our official mock draft of the day. 2.0, Cam Ward. I think talking about him, he's the consensus pick. Elson, you and I need to go to bed. I think. Jeez, I'm starting over my word today very poorly. But Elson, how do we feel about the draft? I like it a lot. I think we had a pretty good, little bit of a run on positional players, and I think it's realistic. This is one of the hardest drafts to be able to predict. I think there's a good opportunity here.
I think this was a fantastic mock draft. I think that this is going to look so much more like the real 2025 NFL draft than our first one. And I'm already excited for our 3.0 and our final mock draft where we're going to have all the intel the night before the first round. That one's going to be even better, but this one is rock solid.
No doubt about it. Like it a lot. That is what we got for our 2.0 mock draft. Elson Gratz, I don't know about you, but I think it's bedtime.
Completely agree. It doesn't matter that it's still light out.
I know. You can tell it's shit. We're getting there. Let's grab another great episode. Thanks for joining me. Good to see your face again. Thank you to Alex Hernandez as well for joining us today on the pod. Episode 71 is officially in the books. We'll see you next time.